Are you looking for the right wrist brace to help you get over carpal tunnel syndrome, or as I like to call it, wizard wrist? Are you tired of looking at hundreds of different braces trying to figure out which one's best for you? Well, look no further. This is hopefully the last video that you'll need to watch on finding a brace that works best for your unique situation. As a trained physiotherapist and artificer, I know what to look for. I poured through dozens of brands and gathered a few of my top choices for wrist braces that will work for you in the way that you specifically need. If you take one thing away from this review though, it's that there is no one-size-fits-all brace. The best brace will depend on your individual situation, the size of your hand, the severity of your symptoms, the amount of support that you need, and your daily work requirements. Luckily for you, I've organized this massive review into several categories which I've turned into chapters, all of which are linked down below. My goal is to help you find something that will relieve that nasty pain you feel. If you know what kind of brace you need, then please feel free to skip ahead to that portion. I'm not going to take offense. I've also linked my breakdown of each wrist brace in a link down below if you want everything on one single page. Ready to get started? Let's get fortified. Wearing a brace is the #1 evidence-based non-surgical treatment for carpal tunnel syndrome. When you find the brace that works for you, the relief is almost magical. However, getting the full benefit of a wrist brace is tricky because, like I've said, there is no one-size-fits-all. So how do you find the wrist brace that's right for you? Here are some questions I want you to answer to help figure that out. First, what size is your wrist? You can use a measuring tape to wrap around your wrist right under the palm. This is your wrist circumference. Usually, if that number is 7 inches or larger, you'll want to go for a larger brace. Under 7 inches, a small to medium-sized brace may be a better size for you. I've noted which of the wrist braces come in different sizes and which one are one size fits all. Make sure you purchase a size that works for you. Number 2, do you want to wear your wrist brace at night or during work? Or do you need something that you need to put on when your hand feels achy at the end of the day? This may be something that you're going to need to talk to your physiotherapist/artificer about, but usually, how long and when you need to wear the brace is based on the severity of your symptoms. If the symptoms are still minor, wearing one of these braces just at night will probably be sufficient. If, however, your symptoms are worsening, you may want to try wearing a splint during work as well. A good wrist brace will help keep you from flexing or extending your wrist because this is what works up carpal tunnel syndrome. Next, how much support do you actually need? This is very dependent on your symptoms as well as the job that you're performing. If you have more severe or sensitive symptoms, having something with more rigid support may be warranted. If you have a job that requires a lot of wrist movement, gripping, or any sort of vibration, you'll probably want more support. If you have other injuries along with carpal tunnel syndrome, such as muscle strains or tendinitis, then you might need something more rigid or a specialized support such as a brace with a thumb splint attached. If your symptoms aren't that bad and you're looking for something to just relieve some achiness or pain, then something like a compression glove or even a wristband may be just what you need. There's no reason to limit your mobility if it isn't something that you strictly need. Now that you have the answer to these questions, let's get to the braces. I've broken up the products into a few major categories: standard braces, night splints, light support, heavy support, compression, as well as a brace with a thumb splint and a brace made especially for smaller hands. I also considered cost, material that was used to make the brace, if the brace comes in multiple sizes, if they have left and right models, how much support each brace gives, whether they use plastic or metal inserts, and finally, if those inserts are removable. Removable metal stays help with cleaning the brace, but have a tendency to slip out and poke you if the fabric is worn or if you don't reinsert it correctly. I made a spreadsheet to make this easier to visualize and to remember. You can download it totally free in the link down below. Leave your email and you'll get more carpal tunnel tips and tricks sent right to your inbox. Let's get started with my choice for a standard wrist brace. These are typical braces that you can wear when you're working and may also be able to use as a night brace if you aren't super sensitive to how things feel. They have a good balance of stability and mobility as well as good comfort. In this category, we have the Mueller Green Brace, named for the green recycled plastic liner. So Mueller is an established, well-trusted company and makes some great products, so you can be rest assured that you're gonna receive something decent when you order this. This one comes in multiple sizes, as well as a left and a right model. This one's a right model. The fabric is breathable and non-latex in case you have an allergy. The stays are plastic and non-removable, with a more rigid one in the palm and a more flexible one on top of the wrists. Now, this is a brace that when you put it on, you already know that you have a premium product. It just fits very well, especially on the bottom side because the plastic support is curved to follow the natural shape of the palm. This gives good support to prevent you from going to flexion and works along with a more flexible upper support to prevent excessive extension. It does this while maintaining mobility for your thumb and for your fingers, allowing you to complete most office tasks like using a mouse or typing. This brace comes with my Artificer seal of approval, which means I highly recommend this brace as a standard brace to use while wearing throughout the day. The next category of braces is night splints. There are actually three products in this category that I'd like to talk about. These braces sacrifice mobility for softness and comfort so that you can sleep throughout the night without being irritated by the material wrapped around your hand. They also have more support to keep your wrists stable through the night. The first product is the Futuro Wrist Night Support. Futuro, like Mueller, is a large and well-trusted company. The night brace they've created feels premium when you put it on, and it seems that comfort and support were definitely the goal. It's made of a softer, non-latex polyblend that won't be irritating to wear when you go to sleep. The palm side of the brace is like a comfy pillow filled with micro beads, which create support and comfort. It's also a bit rigid, so it keeps your wrist in a neutral position. This is a great brace, but just remember, you're not going to be really able to do much with your wrist when you're wearing it. You definitely can't really type with it. Ugh, ow, it hurts. Also, it's a one-size-fits-all model for both left and right hands. The caveat here is if your wrist is smaller than 5.25 inches or larger than 9 inches, you might want to find another brace. The next creation I want to share is the Comfy Brace, which is an independently created product. Though it functions similarly to the Futuro brace, kind of looks like it, at $10 less, there are a few differences between this product that I'd like to point out to help you make a better purchase decision. The beads for the palm support in the Comfy Brace have a much more noticeable texture. While the Futuro padding feels like memory foam pillow, the beads in this brace feel kind of like a beanbag. Now you also have slightly more mobility in the Comfy Brace, but it's still going to be hard to type or to use a mouse while you're wearing it. Maybe you can use a mouse. There's also a little bit of a quality difference in the Comfy Brace, as the model I received had a few hanging threads. I don't know if you can see that. And just a subtle but noticeable downgrade in quality of the material as compared to the Futuro. Now this may not be a deal breaker, but I just want you to have all the info before you purchase. Next is a combo pack brace created by Apollo, a smaller independent company founded by an orthopedic surgeon. This pack I ordered has both a day brace and a night brace, and honestly is very well made, if a bit expensive. You also can't find it on Amazon, you have to order it from a medical supply company, which I've linked down below. It has some very interesting design choices that make it a pretty good option if you need both a night and a day brace. So, since we're talking about night braces, let's just go over that first. The night brace is a bit confusing to put on. Just follow along here and it'll make sense. The cool design choice here was that they splinted out the two middle fingers while leaving the index and pinky finger free. This makes it so you can't curl your fist or move your wrist too much, while still allowing for some movement and comfort by having the index and pinky fingers free. This isn't as padded as the two other night braces, but it is more rigid and supportive, which may be beneficial if you have more severe symptoms. Now the day brace, once again, is a little bit more confusing to put on, but once you get it there, you'll find a well-made brace that is supportive while still having that mobility to grip and type with your hand. It also comes with a lycra sleeve to help keep the brace clean and less sweaty, and trust me, that's a big deal for any brace that you buy. No matter what material they're made out of, these braces will end up getting smelly, so hand wash them often. It also comes with this little ice pack insert that you can put in the inside of your brace to help with pain relief. Why not? I highly recommend this product if you both need a night and a day wrist brace. Now next up are the mobility braces. These are braces that allow you full mobility for your wrist and fingers with the sacrifice of lower support. Now in terms of carpal tunnel syndrome, where the idea is to keep the wrist neutral to avoid making symptoms worse, these don't really prevent you from flexing or extending your wrist. Said in a different way, these don't really stop you from moving into the positions that may make your numbness and tingling worse. However, they do provide some sort of tactile reminder not to keep the wrist flexed or extended, and that's something. These are really for people who have minor symptoms but need to have full mobility of their wrist and hand, for example if they're playing sports or if they're adventuring. The first product I have is the Brace Up, which is basically like an MMA wrist wrap that goes around your thumb and attaches to your wrist in a single piece. So you just put it down and you wrap it around like that. Now you have pretty much full mobility with just very slight resistance when you try to go into flexion or extension. It does also provide slight compression, which can be pain relieving. If you're in a combat sport or if you really need to use your hands, well, this may be something to try. However, I wouldn't just use something like this solo if you're having symptoms. You need something with a little bit more support. Next is an interesting product called the M-Brace, which is basically, a bracelet. You place this plastic bracket on the thumb side, you make a fist, and then you tighten the bracelet. Now, this theoretically works like something called a counter-force brace, which supposedly compresses one area to prevent pulling on another area. Now, if you know what the definition of carpal tunnel syndrome is, you know that it's caused by compression. So when you say, I need to compress an area to make it feel better, I'm a little bit hesitant, but for some people it does work. If you really need full mobility and your symptoms aren't that severe, I definitely check this out as an option. Strange enough, it does add some resistance against flexion and extension if you wrap it tight enough, but too tight may also work you up, so just base it on symptom improvement. Now remember this, all these products should relieve you, otherwise they don't work. Don't keep wearing a product if they make your symptoms worse. They're not going to heal your condition by wearing them, so you don't need to fight through the pain. Their goal is to reduce symptoms, not bring more of them on. Now for the big boy, the heavy support brace that I recommend. These type of braces usually tend to limit mobility a lot, but have a large amount of support to keep the wrist in place. This one I have here is called the Futuro Deluxe Wrist Stabilizer. Now who is this wrist brace for? If you have more severe symptoms like really bad pain, tingliness, then you really need to keep that wrist in neutral for the whole day. This is your choice. If you have other issues besides carpal tunnel, such as muscle strain or tendonitis, this is also a really good choice. This product is extremely well made and feels comfortable despite having 3 support stays in it, one of which is a metal one that's removable. You still have some mobility of your fingers and you can grip things and use a mouse pretty well, but typing is going to be a little bit more difficult using this. You can definitely do it, but you're going to definitely lose some words per minute. The foam pad in the palm is definitely not pillow-like, but it's comfortable as well as contoured due to the shape of the metal stay. All in all, if you need a heavy support brace, the Futuro is a very good choice. Next up is something a bit more specialized, but may be of help if you have an injury or pain in your thumb. One of the conditions that are frequently diagnosed with carpal tunnel syndrome is de Quervain's tenosynovitis. In other words, your thumb tendon is getting worked up. This condition can also be relieved by splinting up that thumb to keep it in place. So this Mueller product is a good choice if you have both de Quervain's as well as carpal tunnel syndrome. It keeps the thumb neutral while also providing some support at the wrist to keep it from excessively flexing or extending. It does this while still keeping your fingers free for typing and using the mouse. There's a caveat here that you're going to need to learn to hit the space bar with the side of your thumb since it's splinted up. As a Mueller product, the design is great and feels high quality and will definitely last you a long time. Highly recommend it. Anyway, next up is my recommendation for compression braces. As I said earlier, carpal tunnel syndrome is an issue that's caused by compression. So why do you want to add compression to the general area? Well, the short answer is because compression can reduce pain. When you wrap up a tight or painful muscle, it activates these deep pressure receptors that can relieve symptoms. Now, while compressing the area would definitely not be my first recommendation, it can be something to try if, 1, you tried other products and they don't reduce pain as much as you'd like, Or 2, you have very mild symptoms currently, such as achiness after a long day of work versus the numbness and tingling that come from carpal tunnel syndrome. So with that said, I recommend using these when you start to feel achiness, rather than wearing them the entire day. Use them as you would Tylenol. The first brace is one that combines a bit of support as well as compression. This is the Vive wrist brace. It combines a metal stay to keep your wrist in neutral as well as a compressive neoprene fabric and attachment system. So as you can see, it does have a metal stay which is removable. Remember to make sure to tuck this in when replacing the stay because sometimes it sticks out and pokes you. This stay will keep your wrist from overextending or overflexing. The neoprene fabric has a compressive quality to it and can help to relieve that pain through that deep pressure. This is a good choice if you have mild symptoms that come on later in the day after working. The second compressive brace is something called the copper compression brace. I wasn't gonna include it, but I figured that I should talk a little bit about the magical claims that they make about this product. So there is some weak research that I really wouldn't even call research that suggests that copper can have some curative properties in terms of muscular pain relief, but there's really nothing convincing. I don't think that the evidence supports it at all. But what we do have here is the power of placebo. Now, I'm not knocking on the placebo. It's actually a pretty powerful effect that can improve people's lives. But can we make a more effective placebo? Yes, we make it more expensive. Expensive placebos tend to be more effective, so this is a $24 pair of nylon spandex gloves with copper inside. So I think that fits the bill. As you can see, they don't really offer any support, but they do have a compressive pressure to them, which, like I said before, can be symptom relieving. So, if you don't mind paying 24 bucks for a pair of nylon gloves, which function essentially the same as a pair of $5 gloves, then these ones are for you. I guess you can look like Spider-Man. The last brace I want to go over today is the Wellgate brace made for women. This makes a few assumptions, such as that men can't have dainty wrists. We totally can, but not me. The wrist brace definitely does not fit me. I have a 7-inch wrist circumference, and this thing is just comically small. This is because the standard brace is a one-size-fits-most for women. If you have a smaller wrist, like my wife, seen here, this can be great for you. She has around 5-inch wrist circumference, and these fit her perfectly. They also come in a lighter color if you prefer that over black. Otherwise, this is a decent standard brace with some wrist support and a good mobility of the fingers and the thumb. Just remember that many of the previously noted braces come in small or medium sizes, which can definitely be a good fit for you. Just make sure you measure your wrist first. So that was all the braces that I have for you today. I hope that you've gained some insight into what option might be best for you. And I hope that this video has helped you feel more confident in your purchasing decision. Wizard wrist carpal tunnel syndrome is a very annoying and painful issue, but it can be beaten with some education, consistency, and exercise. If you're dealing with this vile condition or just want more info on how you can manage it, definitely subscribe to this viewing portal and join our group on Facebook where others experiencing carpal tunnel syndrome gather to talk about their journey. We provide plenty of guidance and free strategies on how you can best manage your recovery. The link is down below. That's all for this week, folks. So until next time, don't forget to fortify strength.